Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. All is now set for local council polls in Lagos State as Chief Judge inaugurates election tribunals. NNPC Group CEO admits growing complexities in efforts to revamp state-owned refineries despite ongoing investment. Russia to close Poland's consulate in Kaliningrad after Warsaw shut down Kremlin's facility in Krakow.
Corporate Affairs Commission to optimize its portal to guarantee enhanced access for users.
And in sports, Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa unveiled as general manager of Kano Pillars, and he pledges to revive club's glory days. Details in a moment.
It begins now. Welcome. We begin tonight in Lagos State. All is set ahead of Saturday's local government election, with Babajide Sanwo-Olu calling on all eligible voters to participate in the exercise scheduled for July the 12th, 2025. The governor, in a statement, emphasized the importance of the elections in shaping the leadership of local councils and driving grassroots development, while the government assured citizens of a safe, orderly and credible election, with security agencies strategically deployed across all polling units and communities. The Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, LISEC, has confirmed readiness for the polls. The government urged all political stakeholders, party agents and candidates to conduct themselves with decorum and uphold the principles of peace, fairness and respect for the rule of law throughout the exercise. Meanwhile, the Chief Judge of Lagos State, Justice Kazeem Alogba, on Friday inaugurated two local government election appeal tribunal panels ahead of the upcoming council polls. The panels were inaugurated at the Ikeja High Court Conference Room, with sit-ins to hold in Lagos Island and Ikeja. Justice Taofikat Oyinkan Abdullahi, retired, will chair the Lagos Island panel alongside Magistrates Michael Olubi, Olaiton Ajayi, Salama Matepo and Hotepo Lazarus. Justice Sherifat Sholebo, retired, will lead the Ikeja panel, which includes Magistrate David Razak, Oluwatosi Fowore Adepeju Odusoya and Linda Balogun. The panels are expected to begin sittings immediately after the conclusion of the local government elections. And despite a landmark Supreme Court judgment delivered on July the 11th, 2024, empowering the federal government to pay local government allocations directly to beneficiaries, governors have allegedly disobeyed the ruling. According to reports, a total of 4.5 trillion naira has been routed through the governors over the past year, contrary to the Apex Court's directive. The Supreme Court's judgment aimed to ensure transparency and accountability in local government funding by passing state governments. However, the alleged disobedience has raised concerns about the governor's commitment to implementing the court's decision. Stakeholders have called for adherence to the rule of law and the implementation of the judgment to promote grassroots development and accountability. Local government elections in Lagos have come a long way, from the colonial-era town council to today's 20 LGAs and 37 LCDAs. These polls have shaped everything from sanitation to schools and remain crucial to grassroots governance. Through military rule and democracy, the push for accountable local leadership has never let up. Now, with another election just days away, tomorrow actually, who are the contenders and what's at stake in the Center of Excellence? News Central's Oluwakemi Alimi tells us more.
history of local government in Lagos has been one of continuous evolution, reflecting the state's dynamic growth and its unique position as Nigeria's economic hub. From the establishment of the Lagos Town Council in the early 20th century, which saw the first elected representatives, to the various reforms and creations of new local government areas, the aim has always been to bring governance closer to the people. However, the journey has not been without its challenges. Issues of voter turnout, perceived electoral irregularities, and the perennial debates around the autonomy of local governments have often shaped the narrative around these elections.
So this time around, I expect a better participation from the voters by reason of the campaigns and the awareness going on.
Despite these, each election offers a fresh opportunity for residents to elect leaders who understand and can address their immediate needs. This Saturday, voters across all 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas will elect 57 chairpersons and 376 councillors. These are the critical positions that determine the day-to-day welfare of citizens at the community level. For this election, the political landscape is dominated by familiar players, with the All Progressive Congress, the ruling party in Lagos, fielding candidates across all the local government areas and LCDAs. They face opposition from parties like the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, and the Accord Party, among others. In total, the Inter-Party Advisory Council in Lagos comprises 19 registered political parties, all of whom have had the opportunity to present their candidates.
Talking about High Park, talking about LASIEC. So those are the major stakeholders that we have interfaced with. And of course, young people, is that there have been series of engagements, there have been series of town halls, there have been series of door-to-door, and you observe that there is a resurgence of people getting to know about what is going to happen on Saturday.
Looking ahead to Saturday, here's what Lagosians can expect. Total restriction of movement from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. on both roads and waterways. Only voters with permanent voter cards, PVCs, and whose names appear on the register will be allowed to vote. Polls open at 8 a.m. and close at 3 p.m. LASIEC has deployed over 13,000 polling units and assured full readiness for a smooth process. Security agencies will be stationed across Lagos to maintain order and safety. The next few hours will be crucial as political parties make their final appeals and voters finalize their choices. All eyes will be on Lagos this Saturday as residents elect those who will shape the future of their communities for the next 4 years. In Lagos, for News Central, Oluwakemi Alimi.
All right, let's talk about the elections and what to expect aside from what we have in that report perspective on conduct. I have two gentlemen, constitutional lawyers. Jide Ologun is with me in the studio, and Eze Onyekpere joins us virtually. Gentlemen, thank you very much for giving us your time on the news. I'll start with you in the studio, Jide. From all we've seen with preparations, how confident are you that tomorrow's exercise will be as hitch-free as promised?
On the scale of being hitch-free, if you consider the fact that the law enforcement agents are ready, and of course the curfew that has been introduced, the restriction during the day also, we expect that it should go well, because we are all expected to be subject to the rule of law. But having said that, there may be some party faithfuls who may want to exceed the limit of the rule of law, and our electoral laws have provisions for dealing with such characters. And that leads us to the next question. Have we implemented these provisions of our laws? And I believe the answer is no. And that is an opportunity for some to to disrupt the processes. But I hope that since it's a Lagos State affair and not throughout the Federation.
I mean, there's a lot of confident display that tomorrow is all ready and people should come out. I want to talk to you about voter apathy and this restriction of movement when it comes to elections, but that will be if we have time. Let me go to Eze and ask, few hours and then we'll be at the ballot. How have you assessed the level of preparedness on the one hand, and then let's talk about this skepticism that none of what we have had from the police and other agencies is anything to, it's anything new. The concern is that vote buyers and vendors of violence will still be on the prowl. Are you certain that tomorrow will be satisfactory in terms of safety, freedom of voting who you want to, and less of vote buying? Eze, the question is for you, actually.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. And let me start by saying that it is not what the electoral umpire says. It's not about what the police and the law enforcement agencies say. It's not about what the different stakeholders say, because this is not the first time we're having elections in Nigeria, in Lagos. But it is about what we can make of what they will likely do tomorrow. And if previous experience is anything to go by, there are doubts that those stakeholders are going to keep to their words. So for me, it is about the citizens simply looking out to be sure that the rules and regulations and the laws have been abided with by the authorities, and probably documenting enough in the event it may need to go into a litigation about evidence that may be presented to the courts, so that the courts can use it to determine actually who won the elections. In terms of vote buying, nothing has been done in Nigeria to stop it. So I expect that tomorrow votes will still be bought. But it's about what evidence are we going to present to make sure that it influences the decision of the tribunals or the courts tomorrow, after the elections, in the event that they are challenged. So I have no doubt in my mind that people will still try to do vote buying, but it's about whether the laws of the land will be enforced against vote buying.
Do you expect any sort of enforcement? I mean, there is the skepticism that people would even come out. Voter apathy I was mentioning earlier. Do you think that people have the confidence, considering also that most of these parties are going to the election fractured? The APC is, some people say, almost, I'm not supposed to be calling names now, but some of these parties are going into the election not as a whole.
Absolutely. And when you talk about electoral apathy, I think that has come to stay in Nigeria for now, because many are disgruntled about some of the outcomes of previous elections in the country. And from those we have related with, some have told us that they won't have any business than to just stay in their homes and let the election that has been conducted, in quotes, then they wait for the announcements, because on the scale of perception, some are of the view that even what will be shown to the public in the glare of the sunshine may be just an action to portray the fact that there was an election. And this mistrust is a very solid concern in the country. And I totally agree with my learned colleague on this issue of vote buying. In fact, if you understand the electoral landscape in Nigeria, the vote buying that you see on elections day are just minor ones. The real ones would have gone on the ground, going to talk to electorates. And it's quite unfortunate that some of the electorates who should focus more on sustainable development are also greedy to say, now, this is an opportunity for me to have a bite of the national or state cake. So let me have all I can have now, and you can have your 4 years in office. So these are issues. We have not come to the point of being able to satisfy the mandate of the global standard of elections being free, fair, and credible. But that is the stage we
is there a possibility
now.
we'll have that in our lifetime?
Hopefully,
let's keep hope
it's all a
alive.
function of leadership.
Yeah.
If leadership desires that, why not?
So talking about leadership, Eze, I want to ask you about this local government autonomy. We're having elections now. Exactly a year ago today, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of, financial allocations going directly to this local government. But what we have today is that about 4.5 trillion naira has been routed through the governors as against the Supreme Court ruling. What's your thinking as to how that might impact, participation, conduct of local government development at that level, and if that is going to continue, or we'll see a change perhaps in the coming year that monies, now that we have local government chairman, the monies will be directly sent to them after the elections?
If you recall very well, there wasn't any declared disputes between the federal government and the states before the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation proceeded surprisingly to the Supreme Court and had this judgment. It was like a thunderbolt out of the blues. And many Nigerians were happy that, at least for once, let's have a democratic consolidation at the local government level. Let's have resources and funds not put in the hands of state governments, put in the hands of people at the grassroots level who the locals can easily relate to and hold accountable, because it will be very difficult for some people in the locality to begin to hold the governor accountable, but they could think about their councillors and the local government chairman who lives amongst them that they can talk to and say what has happened to their money. We celebrated it, but surprisingly, the same government that got that Supreme Court judgment developed cold feet, because the president was thinking of governors to bring into the fold of his party for 2027. And maybe it's likely, from my perception, that the governors will have said, you don't take away the meal and the food that was left for us to manage anyhow we like, and then you still want us to line up before you. So nobody has even gone back to the Supreme Court to cite anybody for contempt. Nobody, whether it's Accountant General or the Attorney General, is talking about implementing this. So I'm not surprised, and that's why I'm thinking tomorrow may follow the tradition of previous local government elections, because the president is interested in wooing the governors, and maybe the governors are giving conditions, and part of the conditions is that they have to control local government funds. And you cannot control local government funds if you don't control those who are quote and unquote elected or selected as local government chairmen and councillors. So that's why I'm feeling that that judgment may have a very big weight on tomorrow's election, not just in Lagos alone, and in future local government elections, because the governors still want to be in control. They are the persons who appointed the members of LASIEC, and they report to them, and there is nothing.
So, Eze, you're talking about the politics of it.
Even the...
You're talking about the politics, sorry to interject, but you're talking about the politics of it, that the politics would not allow implementation, but that would be a direct flouting of a Supreme Court ruling, the highest court in the land. Let me come to Mr. Olugu in the studio and ask about that. Will we ever see a scenario where the Supreme Court ruling will come to pass? Because after one government, another will come, and there will be politics to be played at the detriment of the people. And who would be, something that Eze said, I'd like your thoughts on, who would be able to go to the Supreme Court to cite any of the governors for contempt? Would it be the governors that are being cited, or it will be the federal government in this instance, because they are the ones that are supposed to release those monies to the local government?
It is quite ridiculous, and let me say the judiciary must rise up to this embarrassing situation because the Supreme Court remains the highest court in the land since 1963. And what we have observed is that somewhere along the line, perhaps for political reasons, a 3-month moratorium was given to the governors in respect of that decision of Supreme Court, which was to start in August last year. And after that, there was an announcement that the local government authorities should come and open a special account with CBN. And you know, one of the conditions for opening that account is that the local government authorities should present about 2 years audited account. So there were different hindrances thrown up to challenge the decision of the Supreme Court being implemented. And I think that is contrary to the rule of law. What the rule of law says is that every individual, every institution, all the MDAs within the system are subject to the prevalence of the law. But when we have situations where the decision of the Supreme Court can be, you know, thrown aside in court by some stakeholders, it's quite embarrassing.
Yeah, the second part of the question, I'm curious as to your thinking. Who is the onus on to go to the Supreme Court to cite maybe the governors for contempt, or is it the federal government now?
The Attorney General went to court by virtue of Section 232 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, and he got this decision. So if he is not satisfied by the fact that it has not been implemented in 1 year, today is actually the anniversary, then he should go back to the Supreme Court for interventions. But it appears they're just pushing it, that the Secretary to the federal government is the one presiding. No, you know, these are issues. It's embarrassing.
So many issues.
It's a systemic gap.
In 30 seconds, if you can, Eze, just your concluding thoughts on the subject, because I know I interrupted you there. Can you hear me? Mr. Yekpere, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I just said in 30 seconds, because we're out of time for this conversation, what would be your submission on who could cite the governors for violation of the Supreme Court's ruling, or the federal government in this instance?
Well, both the federal government, the Honorable Attorney General, and the governors are guilty of violating the Supreme Court ruling, particularly the Honorable Attorney General who initiated the case and got the judgment. So, unfortunately, when both the person who started the suit and those who are bound by the decision of the court are guilty of violating the court's decision, it becomes like a neutral third party, maybe NGOs, that could go to court and ask the Supreme Court to make sure that their decision is obeyed. But if you are waiting for either the Attorney General or the governors, I don't think that decision will ever be obeyed. Everything is politics, and that's it.
Let's look forward to a successful exercise tomorrow. Mr. Ogu, thank you very much for being here. Mr. Yekpere, always a pleasure to have you as well. Coming up tonight, defections are undemocratic. That's according to political economist Professor Pat Utomi. But we'll bring you this story and more after this break. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Well, it's now set for local council polls in Lagos State as the Chief Judge inaugurates election tribunals. An NPC Group CEO admits growing complexities in efforts to revamp state-owned refineries despite ongoing investment. And Russia to close Poland's consulate in Kaliningrad after Warsaw shut down Kremlin's facility in Krakow. Let's tell you now that political economist and convener of the shadow government, Pat Utomi, has raised concerns over the rising trend of defections by politicians across political party lines in Nigeria. Utomi described the trend as a reflection of weak democratic institutions and a serious threat to the growth of democracy. While speaking at a press conference in Abuja, he unveiled that the shadow government initiative will help strengthen democratic institutions by promoting good governance, advising on needed policies, and proffering ideological direction to the government.
And so we are interacting with you today in the hope that you can help our country set agenda for something that is truly of fundamental value in importance. Every democracy is work in progress. It's about building. And all of us should be committed to building institutions of democracy.
The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Bayo Ojulari, has acknowledged growing complexities in the efforts to revamp Nigeria's state-owned refineries. Although the Port Harcourt refinery began processing crude oil again on November 26, it was later shut down in May for maintenance. Meanwhile, rehabilitation work is still ongoing at the Warri and Kaduna refineries. Speaking in an interview on the sidelines of the Night OPEC International Seminar in Vienna, Austria, Ojulari said NNPC is in the process of reassessing its refinery strategies with plans to conclude review by the end of the year. Meanwhile, President of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has expressed doubt over the possibility of the state-owned Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna refineries functioning again. Dangote also stated that the refineries, which are under the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, had gulped up to $18 billion, yet have refused to work. The billionaire businessman spoke on Thursday while hosting members of the Global CEO Africa from the Lagos Business School after a tour of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery in Lekki, Lagos. According to him, 650,000 capacity Dangote refinery now has over 50% of its output dedicated to premium motor spirit, saying that even government refineries committed just 22% of their production to petrol. Professor Izielem Agbon is a petroleum engineering expert, and he joins me now from Dallas to provide some analysis on the ongoing crisis in the Nigeria's downstream sector. Thank you very much for being here, Prof. Just after the Dangote Group president has come out to say that Nigeria's state-owned refineries may never bounce back despite all the investment, the CEO of NNPC seems to corroborate his claim, admitting to complexities in efforts to revamp the facility. Can you help us unbundle this situation? What does that leave us? Is it a sell? Do we still have that option? Can we build new one? What is on the table?
I think that Dangote is just pushing, flying a kite in his continuous struggle as an oligopoly to take total control of the downstream sector of the Nigeria oil and gas industry. I don't think it's right for Dangote to be making negative comments about a competitor like NNPCL. NNPCL is a commercial entity, and it's surprising to me that NNPCL management have not really replied to Dangote saying that refineries cannot be replied.
But Prof, he is right to a degree, though, because let's look at it. In 2007, the federal government took back the federally owned refineries from Dangote, insisting that they can revamp it. And since 2007 to date, we're yet to have a functional refinery in the country. He's just stating the fact, isn't he?
No, because Alhaji Dangote told all of us in 2013 that he will build his refinery with 9 billion. This was 2013. The Nigerian environment is a very tough one. And Alhaji Dangote found out that it took him 13 more years to 2024 and another 20 billion, almost a 100% cost overrun to build his refinery. I think that first and foremost, not 18 billion have been spent. That is wrong. Secondly, the refineries can be repaired. They are not too old. The oldest refinery in United States was built in 1881, and it has been upgraded. This is the American refinery in Bradford. Apart from that, the Port Authority refinery was built in 1902. It is operating today. Every time they repair it, they expand it. The same thing with the ExxonMobil refinery in Beaumont, Texas, that was built in 1903. So when we look at refineries around the world, refinery is not like a car. There is no need like Dangote, because he wants to buy the refinery in Port Harcourt cheap and then make a lot of profit, which he was prevented from doing in 2007, just gaslighting Nigerians. A refinery is not a car. So
is it that Prof? I'm sorry to keep interjecting, but I'm trying to get our viewers to get the best from this conversation. Are you against the fact that it is Dangote who is saying this, that he has no place, or that what he is saying is untrue?
I am on both. What he is saying is not right, and he has personal interest that is influencing him to reach the wrong decision. The failure to repair our refinery was due to corruption and intervention by the oil cabal. Dangote himself has complained about the oil cabal. The oil cabal was for promoting importation of PMS into Nigeria, which presupposed that we never repair our refinery. And also, they opposed Dangote operating. Dangote started crying about the oil refinery, that they're a mafia. Then suddenly now, Dangote is pretending that he doesn't know this same mafia that fought him is the same mafia that is encouraging the corruption and stopping the repair of our refinery. And I'm surprised that the new technical team in NNPCL does not take this as a challenge, eliminate all the corruption and repair the refinery.
Not to be a skeptic, Prof, not to be a skeptic, but one would have expected there's been multiple opportunities for the NNPC and the federal government to take the challenge over the years. But that's not the question I want to ask. The question I want to ask actually is the fact that the NNPC CEO seem to be in agreement. He is saying that all options are on the table, that they are currently doing a review of the options that they can, and that selling the refineries is an option on the table. He's not ruling that out. So even if you seem not to agree with Dangote, but the person in charge of the NNPC says that is something to be considered. So should we be taking him seriously and thinking along the lines of either a sale or, I don't know, options?
I really don't think that, I've told you before that the policy of the government to sell, to privatize NNPCL is wrong. That company is a government-owned company belonging to the Nigerian people. And if the leadership, the technical leadership of that company does not understand that it is not a private company owned by private shareholder, but it is a commercial company owned by the people of Nigeria, then they are in the wrong business. You cannot be a new leader and you come in to go and sell parts, because you were chosen to lead the new organization, correct all the mistakes that are existing in it, and bring it to par with other government-owned oil and gas corporations in other oil-producing countries, like ADNOC, like Pemex, like Equinor. There are many government-owned entities that have a lot of refineries all over the world that are run profitably. In fact, the NNPC Group CEO Ojulari should be talking about how he is determined to repair that refinery and engage Dangote in a competitive struggle to control the downstream economy and the downstream of Nigeria Petroleum. And I'm surprised that the leaders in the authority that is supposed to control downstream in Nigeria Alhaji Farouk Ahmed have not told Dangote to stay out of it, and have not told the NNPC leader that it is.
Well, it's still early days yet.
During his time, unlike other CEO.
Yeah, it's still early days yet. I mean, they still might respond to what Dangote has said, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've spoken with you before, and you also acknowledged that one of the challenges with the NNPC refineries is poor management. Even in the course of the conversation, you've talked about it. So how do we get that right? The NNPC have changed management over time. We've had different teams come up to say they're working on revamping these refineries. But what are we getting wrong? What needs to shift for us to see some semblance of action in creating a viable refinery for us?
Let me answer that. You see, in the past, NNPC was just government-owned. There was no PIA. It was not commercial. It is now commercial. If you are the head of a commercial organization and you want to repair the refinery, you go and you get a search team internationally and you hire the best people all over the world. You bring them in to repair the refinery. If you bring in a management team and hire them, just like Dangote did when he wanted to build a refinery. He got his vice president, Kuma Edwards. That one went and got a search company, and they brought in experts from all over the world who are experienced in building refinery. If you want to repair a refinery and you own it, bring in experts all over the world, and you charge them and you give them a time and you give them a budget. And you make sure they do it. You don't do it with local people who, because you know there is the issue of corruption. So you bring in a special group of experts, you give them special money, you isolate them, and you give them total control over that management, and they will deliver. They will deliver for you because you are now commercial. It's not like before when you needed political to go and get permission from the Minister of Petroleum to go to the presidency. You are commercial, you can hire anybody from around the world. So I'm surprised that the NNPCL leadership will not consider hiring 10 managers from all over the world with experience in repairing refinery and giving them 18 months to repair it, and making sure the old management is put aside for a while until the refinery is functional. This is what everybody does. It's not, if you bring in experts and you pay them well, they will do the job. You're a commercial entity. You don't have, there's people all over the world that you bring and you give them a task and you give them a budget. These are experts in project management. They are experts in turnaround maintenance. They are experts in refinery repair. And then you give them the workforce. We have a very good workforce that is well developed in Nigeria. The management is very poor. There's a lot of corruption. So remove the management, move them to other set of NNPC, and hire other people, foreigners, to come in there and run it.
All right.
You own it.
Prof, sometimes they say don't look at the messenger, but
repair it for you. That's what I recommend that they do.
Okay, sometimes they say don't look at the messenger, but take the message. Is it a crime? I mean, is it so bad that Dangote, as a businessman, has interest in state-owned refineries? Don't you think refineries will work better with private owners?
No, I don't think so. I think that is a myth. Yeah, government-owned refineries are working all over the world. I don't really think it works better. Our problem is corruption. You can't throw the baby out with the dirty water. The greatest economic development in Nigeria came about during the time when we had development plan, and the commanding heights of the economy was in the hand of the federal government. There is no historical basis in Nigeria in which the development of Nigeria have been due to private entrepreneurs. That's a myth. the greatest entrepreneur we have in Nigeria is Dangote.
All right.
He has only been in sugar, cement, and oil and gas. Our country have developed when
I wish we had more time, Prof.
Control the commanding heights of the economy.
I wish we had more time, but we have to wrap up now. Thank you, as always, for speaking with us. We appreciate the insights you provide every time.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Outside Nigeria, Russia says it will close Poland's consulate in Kaliningrad, a Russian enclave between Poland and Lithuania. The Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the move on Friday. This follows Poland ordering the Russian consulate in the southern city of Krakow to shut it in May, after authorities accused Moscow of orchestrating a fire that destroyed a Warsaw shopping center last year. Polish foreign minister accused Russian special services of involvement, saying there was evidence that they had committed a reprehensible act of sabotage against the center. Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment. Do stay with us. Let's get some business updates. My colleague Perpetua is here. Good evening, Perpetua.
Good evening to you too. The Corporate Affairs Commission has announced plans to optimize its portal to enhance user experience and improve system performance. This comes shortly after unveiling a new AI-driven registration platform aimed at simplifying company registration in Nigeria. Registrar General Hussein Ishaq Magaji, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, described the AI-powered portal as a game-changer, enabling real-time name approvals and seamless registration using a director's NIN. Certificates are now delivered within 30 minutes of verification. The CAC also plans to roll out two-factor authentication, OTP security, and a mobile app by fourth quarter of 2025, reinforcing its digital transformation agenda. The U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has stated that its recent reduction in visa validity for most Nigerian non-immigrant applicants is not politically motivated. In a statement released Thursday, the embassy dismissed speculation linking the change to Nigeria's stance on deportees. BRICS affiliation. The policy shift, it emphasized, stems from a broader technical and security-based review affecting multiple countries. The clarification comes amid public concern that the move was retaliatory. The embassy reiterated that the decision reflects internal U.S. visa processing standards, not a reaction to Nigeria's diplomatic or immigration policies. To stock markets now, the NGX recorded gains in all 5 sessions this week, extending its rally for the 7th straight week. Investor sentiment was supported by strategic positioning ahead of H1 earnings, strong momentum in select small and mid-cap stocks, and interest in banking names. Consequently, the all-share index rose 4.3% week over week, driven by MTN, Zenith Bank, GTCO, UBA, and WAPCO. Now, month-to-date and year-to-date returns stood at 5.1% and 22.6%, respectively. Let's take a look at a snapshot for Friday's trading numbers. You have the all-share index at 126,149.57. I remember I was asking yesterday if this was going to cross 125, but of course, it outdid that, crossing to 126. It's up 137 basis points, and you can see market capitalization another high right here, 79.80 trillion naira. To sector performance, I mean, it was mostly positive today as 3 out of the 5 sectors under our coverage closed in the green. Let's begin with the banking sector. The banking sector is up 5.61%, and we can see notable strength in UBA, Zenith Bank, Access Corporation driving that particular one. And insurance comes in second with 3.78%. However, week to date, it has gained 13.8%, while the banking sector is the second best performer with 12.49% this week alone. The oil and gas is down 49 basis points. You can see the consumer goods also down 23 basis points. It sort of paused its recent advance as weakness in names like Dangote Sugar and international breweries weighed on the sentiment. But for industrial goods, it's up 1.69%, and you can see that it's rode on, strong gains in WAPCO and Bua Cement to close at that particular number, 1.69%. And that's a wrap on business tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fatima Peter. Tonight continues.
Udoka has tonight's sports update. What's the first on the lineup, Udoka?
Of course, Felicity, a lot happening in the world of sports, but let's take it away. Newly appointed General Manager of Caterpillars, Ahmed Musa, has pledged to revive the club's glory days with a comprehensive agenda designed to restore its past successors. Speaking at a news briefing at the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano, Musa emphasized the importance of private sector involvement and the support from fans and sponsors. He expressed confidence in the team's potential, saying that with unity, discipline and determination, Caterpillars will rise again. Ghana's Black Queens are on the brink of an early exit from the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations following a 1-0 draw against Mali in their second Group C game on Friday in Berkane. The result leaves Ghana winless after 2 matches after losing their first match 2-0 to defending champion South Africa. Ghana took the lead in the 6th minute through Alice Kusi, but Mali equalized in the 52nd minute through Asisa Traore. The draw puts Mali in a strong position with 4 points from 2 matches, while Ghana, with just 1 point, will require a decisive performance in the final group game against Tanzania on Monday to stand any chance of reaching the knockout stage. Now, Crystal Palace have been demoted from the Europa League to the Conference League by UEFA for a breach of multi-club ownership rules. US businessman John Textor owns a stake in the Eagles and is the majority owner of French club Lyon, who have also qualified for the Europa League. Under UEFA multi-club ownership rules, Lyon have been allowed to keep their place in the second-tier competition of European football as they finished in 6th place in Ligue 1, higher than Palace, who finished in 12th position in the Premier League last season. Palace qualified for European competition for the first time by winning the FA Cup in May, the club's first ever major trophy. Nottingham Forest, who had qualified for the Conference League by finishing 7th in the Premier League last season, will replace Palace in the Europa League. In tennis, Jannik Sinner crushed Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon semi-finals to set up the latest installment of his rivalry with defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's final. The world #1 is through to his 4th successive Grand Slam title match and his first at the All-England club after a 6-3, 6-3, 6-4 demolition of Djokovic on centre court on Friday. Sinner and Alcaraz are the undisputed new kings of men's tennis, sharing the last mixed majors between them. And that's a wrap on Sports Updates. I am Udoka Njoku. The news continues shortly.
I see a favorite name, though passed in the news. For entertainment tonight, Diaw,
yes.
Correct?
Well, we're here to give you all the updates on that. Today we're celebrating an icon. Yeah, he's no longer with us, but his legacy still lives on.
Sure.
Legacy still lives on. Yeah, I'm talking about 4 years after Nigerian music icon Sound Sultan passed away. His family and fans are celebrating the legacy he left behind. The beloved artist, whose real name is Olariwaju Fasasi, died on July 11th, 2021, after a battle with throat cancer. To mark the anniversary of his passing, his family shared a nostalgic video of him reflecting on how Nigerian music can inspire change and unity. In a heartfelt tribute, they described Sound Sultan as more than just an entertainer, a true visionary who used his songs like Jabajantis and Motherland to challenge authority, highlight social issues, and bring people together. His loved one said he believed music should educate, uplift, and push for progress, not just entertain. Fans and colleagues flooded social media with messages praising his kindness, humor, and wisdom. Though he's absent, he's deeply felt his spirit and influence continues to shape Nigerian music and culture today. Well, Felicity, what would you say? Sound Sultan.
He embodied everything he said.
Yes.
He believed in.
Yes.
You know, music should teach not just educate. And I mean, off the top of my head, I can remember mathematics, something along those lines. And then Motherland, you know, literally every single track he puts out has something for you to take away. Exactly. So, I mean, if you're watching tonight, please go listen to one of Sound Sultan's songs.
Definitely. Well, let's quickly talk about Chris Brown. As the Grammy-winning singer, Chris Brown has pleaded not guilty to additional charges stemming from the alleged 2023 assault of music producer Abraham Diaw in a London nightclub, appearing at the Southwark Crown Court in a light brown suit. Brown denied assaulting, caused actual bodily harm and possession of any offensive weapon, a bottle to be precise, during the incident at Tape nightclub in Mayfair. Previously, he had also pleaded not guilty to more serious charge of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm. His co-defendant, fellow musician Omololu Akinlolu, also pleaded not guilty to assault. The prosecutor said the attack was captured on a surveillance camera in front of the nightclub, in front of people actually. Despite the charges, Brown was released on a £5 million bail, allowing him to, you know, continue his Breezy XX tour across Europe and North America. Well, he's pleaded not guilty again. Well, that's all we have on entertainment tonight.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. All is now set for local council polls in Lagos State as the Chief Judge inaugurates election tribunals. NNPC Group CEO admits growing complexities in efforts to revamp state-owned refineries despite ongoing investment. Russia is to close Poland's consulate in Kaliningrad after Warsaw shut down Kremlin's facility in Krakow. We send your eyewitness report to the numbers showing now on your screen. We also love to interact with you on social media. You can find us on any social media platform at News Central TV. You can watch live programming on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. Good night.